Welcome back to Data Goes Ballistic. This would be installment number 13. Acknowledged. Data made his way towards the nearest turbo lift and happened to cross a corridor that led him to one of the starbase entrances. He was surprised to see troops from the starbase security going past on the double. Two stationed themselves in the intersection he was passing. He acted businesslike as several more entered the turbo lift with him. "What has happened?" he asked one. "I'm sorry, sir, we're not supposed to discuss it." The security team exited one deck above, and Data proceeded to the bridge, alone, worried that he has not foreseen these circumstances. When Data got to the bridge, he found more starbase security personnel guarding each door. They followed him suspiciously, writing on their pads as he touched the ready room door signal. "Come in." As Data entered past two Enterprise security officers, Riker slumped behind the desk, motioning him to sit. "Data, there's been an accident in the holodeck. Worf has been killed." Data tried to act as surprised as he could. "How, sir?" "We think he overrode the holodeck safety protocols on his calisthenics program. I've been in there with him when he exercises. The programs are tough." Riker rubbed his beard. "I guess he programmed too many enemies." "I am sorry, sir." "Data, the reason I asked you in here is because you were there with him earlier, according to security records. Did you know he had disconnected the safety protocols?" Riker stood up and looked accusatory. "No, of course not, sir. I would never tolerate a breach of normal conduct in such a matter." Riker walked over and put a hand on Data's shoulder. "Of course you wouldn't, Data. But in light of the murders going on around here, I can't help but think there's more involved than just a simple holodeck accident." Riker spun around and banged his fist against the desk. Well, duh." Data acted sincere. "Is this the reason for the starbase security, Captain?" "Yes. I'm afraid we don't have enough security personnel on board now. Who would have thought we'd need it? In space dock! This is all so absurd, I keep thinking I'll wake up any minute." He straightened and pulled down his shirt, just as Picard would have. "Please accompany me to the observation lounge for staff meeting." He led the way through the bridge onto the observation lounge, where several officers waited. There were Dr. Seller, composed as usual, Geordi, upset and shaken, Lieutenant Snirk of security, no telling what that creature was thinking, and Deanna Troi. Data was so shocked she was here, because he had not remembered to keep track of the time. Before the emotion chip, such a thing would have been automatic, but now it seemed he had completely forgotten about that witch.
"Oh no, she probably sensed my emotions."
"Oh no, she was probably sensing them now." Data stole a glance at Troi, and she seemed to be studying him closely. Too closely. Data tried to busy his mind by calculating various approach vectors to the first planet of the Nebulon system. A quaternary star system. Luckily, Deanna was distracted by an announcement from Captain Riker. "You all know about the incident on the holodeck. You know I can't believe it was just an accident. I want everyone working on a solution in any way possible. Geordi, have you been able to gain any information from the food slot analysis?" "My team has stripped the food slots bare, sir, and they're working perfectly. There's no evidence of tampering of any kind. The only thing that seems feasible is that somebody walked onto the ship from the starbase and somehow got into the ready room and poisoned Captain Picard's tea after he synthesized it." I see. Then we need to go a totally different route to solve the problem. Snark, I want you to start an investigation and coordinate with Starbase personnel. See if you can track anyone leaving or boarding the Enterprise who seems suspicious. Yes, sir. Geordie, I want you to scan the holodeck. See if you can find information, any information, about unauthorized personnel, tampering, bearing in or out, anything. Aye, sir. Dr. Salar, have you any progress to report in your pollen investigation? Yes, sir. I've traced the pollen and found the species to be classified. For a moment she looked just a tad upset, with frustrated curiosity. Then she looked bland again. I have transferred the data to an eyes-only file in your ready room. Very good. And what about the report from the holodeck? Salar paused to consult her pad, which was apparently linked to Dr. Pulaski's. Dr. Pulaski has found no extraneous DNA in the holodeck yet. However, she has not yet had time to conduct an exhaustive search. Thank you, Lieutenant. Data, have you made any progress on your memory block? Dr. Pulaski was helping me to solve the problem. I believe we were making progress, but I've not yet had time to restore my memory, he fibbed. Thank you, Data. Dr. Pulaski will be otherwise engaged. You'll work with Dr. Celeron on the problem. Aye, sir. Riker stood up and paced across the floor. These are, of course, very difficult times, and I thank you all for continuing to do your duties. But now I find I need to reorganise my officers to fill the vacancies. As you know, Dr. Pulaski is now our Chief Medical Officer. Lieutenant Snark, you will now be Chief of Security. And Data? In spite of everything, even though it would not last, Data wanted very much to be promoted just one more time before his life ended. He had watched through the last 7 years as everyone around him was promoted repeatedly, until even the hated Troy outranked him. So, it was with rapt attention that Data listened to his commanding officer. I want you to know that I very seriously considered you for the post of First Officer. However, during this crisis I need you to stay in your present post for maximum efficiency. Something did not sound right about that sentence. Data was sure. His auditory hearing might be malfunctioning. He did not seem able to hear the words correctly. Of course, you'll all know Deanna Troy. She will now be my new First Officer. I wish it was under better circumstances. Data could not hear the rest of what Riker said, for his ears were filled with an overwhelming electronic shriek. He could barely see the room through the hot blue sheet of electricity that sparked before his eyes, threatening to burn out his optic sensors. Alarms of overheating circuits clanged inside his head. He thought he could just barely make out Riker leering at Troy, putting his arm around her, patting her on the butt. Had he imagined it, or was it real? Was Troy staring worriedly at him, or gazing lovingly at Riker? He could not tell. Snark and Salar briskly filed out, and Data stumbled after them, with malfunctioning balance, making it to the turbo lift. He could sense Geordie behind him, asking him what was wrong. Did he want to talk about it? Was he okay? Data did not have enough mental cohesiveness right now to answer, so he slipped into the turbo lift quickly, leaving Geordie behind. He touched the consoles at random, and it stopped somewhere. He got out and entered the first door that would open. He recognised the room. It was one of the viewing ports in the connecting dorsal. He irised the viewpoint cover open, but saw only the boring inner wall of the space dock.